Hi everyone, in today's video we're talking about throttling in Django. I will show you what it is and why it's important and how you should implement it to protect your API. Without wasting time, let's get started. So basically throttling is rate limiting and this basically means if you have your server and people are making requests to your server, you might get performance issues, or perhaps you're just trying to make a subscription plan whereby those who subscribe like $15 enjoy these privileges, and those who subscribe more than that enjoy this kind of privileges and all that stuff. So to do that, you might want to limit the kind of calls, the amount of calls that they do make to your API, so that they do not abuse, and so that they do abide by those strict policies that you've set. So with that in mind, let's get started. So for this project, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna build a simple product API with a couple of endpoints, and I will show you how to do that throttling magic in Django REST framework. All right, so let's get started. So first of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a directory, and I'm just gonna call this one project. And then within this project directory, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a virtual environment. And then within this virtual environment, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna activate this virtual environment and then install in a couple of dependencies. So for this project here, I'm just going to install Django and also Django REST framework. So these are the only two dependencies that I'm going to install, and then I'll be able to use that to work on this project basically. So this is done. So we're going to set up a simple Django project that just basically has a couple of endpoints. So to do this, let me just create a Django project. So to do that, what I'm going to do is Django project, Django admin, sorry, it's Django admin, start a project, and then this project is going to be called src, and I'm just going to create it there. Then I also create one app, and then I'm going to call this API. So once I'm done with this, now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open this in VS Code so that we get started. Okay, so let me just maximize this a little bit. So now we do have this project up and running. So what we're going to have to do is make sure that we do set up a couple of stuff to just make sure that everything works and fine. So for the first thing, I'm gonna make sure that within this app I make a couple of configurations, but it would be appropriate if I first of all make sure that I kind of like have everything set up in the settings of PY. So if I go to the Django REST framework documentation, and perhaps I just scroll to the section whereby there's installed apps. When I go to my project, I'm just gonna add this here, and then I'm gonna add this API that I just created. And then once I'm done, the next thing I want to do is of course to add the URLs in the URLs patterns. So within the settings of PY, the URLs, I'm just gonna add this too, and then this is gonna be include. So once this is done, my URLs is up and running. The next thing I'm gonna have to do is to make sure that I do have this kind of like defaults, permission classes and all that stuff. So to do this, let me just paste it somewhere here. So the settings are pretty much what we need for now. So now let's go to our application itself, which is the API. And within this API, let's create a simple model. So this model is going to be a product model. So to do this, I'm just going to create class product like that. And then this is going to be model. Like this, And then within this, I'm just gonna have like simple, attributes, price, and then the category. So all this is gonna be character field with maximum length attribute, now set to true, and also blank also set to true. So we do have this in place, so I'm just going to replicate this. It's going to be a simple one, since it's not really the main focus of this application. And then I'm going to define str method to just make sure that we do return some nice formatted data. So self.name is what we're returning here. Okay, so now this is done. Now the next thing we're gonna have to do is let's just add a couple of things such as the urls.py, and then we also add serializers.py. So what I always prefer is, like, once I'm done creating the model, I prefer creating the serializer at the same time. So for this case here, let me create the serializer. So this is going to come from REST framework, and I'm going to import the serializers. So once this is done, I'm also going to import the product itself. So from api.models, let me just import the product itself. And then this product here, I have to register this product in the admin. So let me also import this like that. Then I do admin.site.register, and then this is gonna be the product. That is done. Now what I have to do is to create the serializer class. So to create the serializer class, I'll call this a product serializer like that, and then within this I'll inherit from the model serializer like that, and then this is gonna have the meta class, and then within the meta class I do have the model, which is the product, and then I do have the fields, which is the fields that I do have from the product model. So we do have the name, we do have the category, and then we also do have the price. So price. Now this is in place. Our serializer is okay, just a basic model serializer, nothing fancy here. Now we do also have the model setup. So let me just close these two since I won't be interacting with them. And then let's proceed and work on a couple of things. Now the API is done. So on the URLs, I also have to import this. So to import this, let me just copy this, and then instead of the REST framework, I'm just gonna do the API.urls. So for the path here, what I prefer is I'm just gonna have to maybe just leave it like like an empty path, but I prefer to keep things a little bit tidy up, so I'll just use API for now. So our URL setup is done. Now I'm also gonna close this. Okay, let me clean this up to just make sure that it's tidy. And then now within the settings, let's see a couple of things that we have to implement. Okay, I think this is okay for now. So let's focus on the app, API logic itself. So we do have the views. We're done with the models, serializers, and we also done registering our product. And then within the URLs and the views, this is where we have to do some work. So to do that, I'm gonna import, or perhaps make a couple of imports, and these imports are just basically going to help me work with things like the responses and all that stuff. So the first thing that we have to do is, of course, I don't think I'm gonna need this, so I'll get rid of this. So to do this, just do Ctrl X. So let me just get rid of everything. So from REST framework like that, I'm gonna make a couple of imports. So the first import that I'm gonna do is viewsets, and then response, and then permissions, and then I think status, and also okay, I'll just leave that for now. And then also import the product itself from the motors, like that. And then import also the serializers. So this is going to come from API, the serializers, import product serializer, like this. And then I also have my decorators from REST framework, import decorators. Okay, I could have just imported this from actually here, so I'll just do decorators like that. Okay, so now this is pretty much everything that we need for our product view set. So I'll just do product view set. Oops. So product view set, this is our logic that is going to have almost everything that we need for making the get method and also the post method. So model view set is what I'm using, that is coming from the REST framework. So I'll define a couple of parameters here, which is the query set. So product, the objects, the all. So I'm making a query, basically grabbing almost every product. Then I also define the serializer class, which is going to be the product serializer. And then I also have, let me say, the permission class, which is going to be permissions, allow any, since I'm just basically allowing everything. So within here, I'm going to define another method. Let me just say by category. So this one is gonna basically filter the products by their category. So this is gonna take in a request, and then let's grab the category. So category is equals to requested params. I think this is gonna be a query param. Let's just make it a query param. So query underscore params dot get, and then what we're getting here is actually category, like this. And then if it doesn't exist, we just return none. So if this category that we're looking for exists, what we're gonna do is we should just grab the products. Oops, sorry, like products like that. And then this is gonna be building on top of the query set that we actually wrote in the first place. So what this does is we basically filtering based on our base query. So this is gonna be requested query set the filter, like that. And then what we're filtering for, oops, actually itself, since we are using object oriented programming here. So query set self dot, oops, sorry, it's self dot query set, okay, and then filter, sorry about that. And then what we're filtering for is the category. So this category is actually the category that we just seen up the other side. So now once this is done, we serialize this data. So we serialize this data, which is gonna be the product, and then we just make sure that main equals to true, since we are basically returning, you know, more than one item. And then of course, if everything is fine, we should just return the response. And then this is gonna be our serialized data. So serializer dot data, like that. Serializer dot data. Okay, so now this looks good. If everything, you know, works fine, and if, you know, something doesn't, you know, work right, we just return another, you know, response. So this is going to be a 404, or perhaps you know, bad request or something of the kind. So status dot, so I'll just go with a bad request. Okay, so now once that is done, now the next thing I have to do is to make sure that I just make a call to this API and see what's happening. But before we do that, we just want to make sure that our API is, you know, accepting a get method. So to do this, let me just say the default equals to false, and then we just specify the method here. This is gonna be a get method. Okay, so this is okay. Now we're done with our view sets. So we're done with the product view set. So now what we have to do, we have to work on the URLs. So to do this, on the URLs, instead of using the normal URLs, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the router from the Django REST framework. So to do this, I'm just gonna import a couple of, you know, packages here. So from Django this is gonna be URLs. So I'll need path and also include, like that. And then I also use from, I also need REST framework. Oops. The routers. What I need is actually default router. Like that. And then from API dot models dot views, import product view set, like that. Then let me just create an instance of this router, like that, and then I'll register this endpoint that we do have here. So this is gonna be the product view set, like that. And then let's just check the URL patterns to just make sure. Let's just make sure we create the patterns so that the URLs is kind of like registered within our project. So to do this, I'm just gonna specify a path argument here, which is like for the route, and then this is gonna include all the routes that we do register. So router URLs, like that. Okay, so now this is done. Now our URLs is done and our views is also done. The next thing we have to do is let's kind of like make a test to just make sure that everything is working. So to do this, just use the inbuilt terminal, and then I'll activate the virtual environment from here, and then I'll do python manage.py run server to make sure everything is running. So we do have a couple of errors here. So the first error is in the urls.py. We do have a typo here, so let's see, Control C, do this again. View set, okay, urls.py. So I forgot one argument here, so this is gonna be let me say product, like that. So let's see again. So we do have another keyword, product view set, let's just check what's happening. Invalid keyword, method. Let's see where they started. So I think I got a typo here. So this is supposed to be actually methods. So the methods, I'm just gonna have them wrapped in there like that. Okay, so this is good to go. So now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna Control C, and then what we're gonna have to do is manager py migrate, and then also make migrations. Make migrations like that. Okay, so this is done. So now let's run the server. Okay, let's make another migration. I don't know why this keeps coming, but anyway, migrate, make migrations, no change detected, and then run the server. Okay, everything sounds to be fine. So one more thing that we have to do is let's create a virtual environment. Let's create a super user. So to do this, I'm just gonna do Python manage.py create super user like this. So I just use Daniel like that. Bypass yes, and then clear this. So let me just head towards my login panel, and then here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log in and then see if I can create a product. Okay, so here what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a product. So I'm just gonna say Tesla price, say 300, and then category, let me just say car, and then add another product, Mazda price 300, and then category car, and then add another product, MacBook, and then category laptop like that. Save and add another. So let me just add another product. Let me say Lenovo, and then this price is gonna be 400 still, and then it's gonna be the laptop like that. And then okay, so I have my 1 2 3 4 product. So now it's time to test this API and see how we can be able to implement throttling. So I'm gonna use Postman for this project here. So I do have my Postman here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a call to localhost 8000, and then this is gonna be API/product. Okay, and then I can receive a couple of responses here. So we do have 1 2 3 4. Now imagine if, let me say, someone keeps on hitting send, and maybe perhaps they're consuming, or perhaps it's a bot or something automated like that. Like they would really consume a lot of resources, and this is not really what we really want. So to do this, we are going to implement throttling. So to do that, the first thing we have to do, we have to make sure that our REST framework configuration is set to use throttling. So to do this, I'm gonna add a couple of settings from the throttling framework. So on the API guide, I'm gonna look for throttling. So once I click here, we can see that we do have a couple of things, but for our use case here, we're just gonna make it simple, and then build on top of that. So I'll just copy this and then go to my Django project, and in the URLs, in the settings of py file, I'll go to the section for REST framework, and then when let me just cut this and then get rid of this since I'm just using still the same thing. Then common. So explaining what's happening here is like the default permission classes is permission, and permissions are anonymous read only, and this is where the magic comes from. So within these lines here, you can see that we do have a class that we are getting from the REST framework throttling package. We also getting the unknown rate throttle and also user rate throttle, and then we also customly defining. So let me say it's 100 calls per day, but I just want to make sure that, let me say, this is set to something like 5 minutes, because I don't want to let anybody make all these calls. So what I can do is I can just say, let me say 5, and then instead of per day I can just say minute, like that. Okay, so that means that when someone is not logged in, they can only make 5 requests within a minute. After they're done with that, the system is gonna log them out. But all right, now to use this, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go to my views, and then what I have to do is I just have to define the throttle class, and then just apply that. So the throttle class is what I'm gonna import here. So I'm just gonna say throttling, like that, and then within here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna define the throttling classes, and then this is gonna be remember within our settings we had this unknown, okay, and then also user rate. So for this one here, let me just use this single one here. So this is gonna be coming from like this, and then we do have this. So we are good to go. So oops, my project is not running, so let me just run this again. So now what I have to do is I have to now make sure that when I go to my postman and try to make this call 1 time, 2 times, 3, 4, 5, many times that I want, I can see that if I exceed that time that I defined within my settings, the user won't be able to proceed with this. So this is how you can implement throttling. All right, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any of the future videos that I publish on this channel. Until next time, see you guys. Bye.